1. Ascendants of Ascalon is an explicit-rated podcast. We let words like shit, fuck, and son of a bitch cross our lips. We don't tie ourselves down with silly time restrictions. It is Friday, March 23rd. It is shortly after 7 p.m., and this is Episode 3 of Ascendants of Ascalon. Hello and welcome to the Ascendants of Ascalon podcast, your weekly group of friends gathering to talk about Guild Wars 2 and all the happenings there within. It's going to be kind of a short show this week, guys. A couple of the hosts had to bow out due to other things going on in their households, and it was, well, the slow news week that I begged for at the end of last week's show. But nonetheless, we are soldiering on. We want to make sure to get a show out for you guys every week. We'll go ahead and get started. The Guild Wars 2 devs dropping banhammers on idiots was strangely cathartic this morning because they were dumb enough to stream beta. Closed beta with NDA. I'm Jared. Hi guys, how you doing? Also joining me tonight, they locked me inside to record the show. It's Jeremy. How you doing, Jeremy?
Not too bad. Yeah, it's been a pretty beautiful day. Got some stuff done.
Excellent. So we'll go ahead and launch into then. What have you been doing this week? In-game, out-of-game, whatever the hell you feel like talking about.
I logged on a couple of times this week, but I didn't really, wasn't really feeling it. Nobody else was online. The week's been pretty busy. It's been busy at work. And then I'm actually running on not much sleep because last night I worked till midnight, and then I'd be back at 4 a.m. to do my weekly maintenance, and so I just plain didn't sleep last night.
Right. It's understandable.
Otherwise, it's been a pretty lethargic week.
I understand lethargy. For me, this week was the culture shock because I, wasn't in Kansas, so I had to work all 5 days. Also, it was kind of rainy and bleh the last couple of days, so the sunshine was definitely a welcome change for me. Gaming-wise, still been kind of chipping away at NBA 2K12. My little point guard's almost averaging 20 points a game because I shoot a lot. The other thing in Guild Wars wise, I actually started the other night working on trying to fill out a Young Heroes of Tyria hard mode book, all by my onesies.
Good luck.
Yeah. I got all the Nightfall ones done. I got Minister Cho's estate, and then I got my ass freaking handed to me by the Afflicted Yijo at the end of Zen Daijin, or whatever the fuck the other one's called. And his little Spirit Rift thing that just wrecks a party that isn't flagged properly, like I tend to do.
The worst part is he's the next to last.
Right. But yeah, so I'm working on that. Looking to take advantage of the double Sunspear and Lightbringer points this weekend.
Ooh, maybe I'll be able to get to... No, I have to work 5 close tomorrow and 3 close Sunday, so I guess not. Because otherwise I'd go for my legendary Spear Marshal, because I'm already at Spear Marshal.
Well, maybe that's something we can work on Sunday morning. I know I've got plans during the day tomorrow, but... Something to think about.
It wouldn't be enough time. I still have to get like 40,000 Sunspear promotion points.
Well, my plan anyway for the weekend is to hopefully get that Young Heroes of Tyria book knocked out and then move on to filling out both a reg and hard mode Nightfalls books. So IDK, we'll see. I have a feeling Abaddon will punch me in the face and laugh at me, but
I hear he's actually pretty easy on hard mode, as long as you have a well-prepared group.
right. So yeah, hopefully that will get done. Chances are decent it won't, but yeah, we'll give it the old college try. So moving right along, then we'll just move right into the news. The main things that came out this week were further clarifications on the microtransaction policy, and in fact, ArenaNet's Mike O'Brien put out a blog post on the subject, kind of detailing how they're planning on handling it. And I'll just kind of summarize. Basically what they're looking at doing is there's going to be in-game gold that everyone's used to. There will also be gems, which can be purchased from the cash shop for real money, but then can from there be sold to other players or traded for gold, what have you. And what these gems are going to be used for is to actually purchase items from a specific gem vendor in-game. You're going to be able to buy things like short-term buffs, cosmetic items, that kind of stuff.
And, you know, they really did a perfect job on the bold quote for this one. It's never okay for players who spend money to have unfair advantages over players who spend time.
Actually, as soon as I read that, I immediately pulled up Twitter in a new tab. I'm like, love this quote, and then I typed the quote. I'm like,
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike O'Brien, for quieting the angry people. That being said, there were still angry people. That's a story for a little bit later in the show. Let's see. And then, kind of leading, well, I guess, you know, we've kind of touched on it. How do you think you're going to be using the gem system?
Well, most likely, if I want something out of the gem shop, I'll just, you know, fork over the gold for it, unless I have some extra cash and feel like getting gems. In which case, anything I have left over, I'll just sell to the public.
Sure.
You know, which is what most people are going to want to do, except for those that enjoy dropping real money on it, just because they can. But, you know, as far as I'm concerned, it looks like it's going to be a really good system. You know, I like how he worded it. You know, there's gold, karma, and gems. And the way they've implemented these player currencies is to make it exceptionally difficult for botting and gold farmers and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, that's, I think, the best. I mean, part of that too, it actually leads into our other microtransaction related item here. I was actually trolling around the Guild Wars 2 Reddit, which initially was a mistake. Again, I'll talk about that later. But later on, I actually found a really nice thread about how this gem system, as well as just dynamic of, you know, the fact that the world is constantly changing, is gonna crush botters. Period.
This makes me happy. There's nothing that annoyed me more than gold spammers in trade.
Indeed. Because, like, for example, to quote the original poster here from this thread, in Guild Wars 2, however, we all know the most efficient way to make money is to do dynamic events, or in other words, play the game. So, and then beyond that, this is purely a speculation by this guy, assuming a 50-50 gold to karma ratio, that's, instead of getting 100 gold, which you can turn into gems, blah 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 blah, you're only getting 50 gold, and then 50 karma to spend at a karma vendor. So it really seems like ANET has done a good job of thinking this out, and making sure that botting isn't going to be a problem in their game. And that's something I could definitely applaud them for.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. And the comments below that Reddit post are also interesting. The top one was from somebody who admits to botting and selling gold.
Right. I mean, that was. I actually read this thread after, probably like a couple hours after I'd read a thread that just pissed me the hell off. And I read it and I'm like, holy shit, Reddit, you are capable of intelligent thought sometimes. Wow.
I keep waiting for Dave Ramel to say something, and then I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah. Yeah. But stuff happens. The show must go on.
True.
And so it shall. Let's talk about Leif Chappelle's blog about the evolution of narrative in personal story. And basically what this is talking about is just how deep ANET has made the personal story for each race class combination. Again, reminding us that each of the 5 starting areas are going to be completely different and are also going to be modified by your choices during character selection.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is the best part of it.
Yeah, I thought parts of this article kind of slipped through my mind because I was tired, but for the most part, I'd say this is a good article. I like how they're making it sound. I just really hope that in implementation it is as good as it looks on paper.
Sure. And I mean, the way it sounds to me is that you can roll as many alts as, theoretically, I mean, there's certainly a limit, but you can roll quite a large number of alts before you run into a situation where you're playing the same story over again.
Yeah.
For me, someone who has a tendency to roll a lot of alts, that's just something that sounds fantastic to me.
Alcoholism is a terrible thing.
It is. It is. But I mean, I'll have my main, I'll have my mesmer. But knowing that those times when no one's on that I know or care to play with, I can just be like, oh, I'll just roll an alt and play a new story like a single player game, only with lots of people around me.
Right.
And
they actually make that point in the last paragraph. There I went again, waiting for Dave Ramel to say
right.
something. They made that point in the ending paragraph of this article. It says, when you're playing through the game, you're going to see an amazing open world with plenty to do, but you also get to play through the equivalent of a full-fledged, single-player RPG into which you can bring friends in order to experience its gifts.
Yeah. That's, I think, the thing that excites me the most, and why April 10th can hurry up and get here so we can actually make our money go through the screen to ArenaNet so they can give us beta access.
Right. I've never been interested in playing a game's beta before this game.
Right? So then our last news item here, yesterday afternoon, Total Biscuit released probably the last video you're going to see from that first press beta, and then obviously the second one's going on right now, featuring an explorable mode dungeon. A couple of points he made in this video that really stood out to me is that, I mean, him and his team edited it down to a 35-minute video. Okay, it was a 35-minute video. Yes, there was some stuff that was broken. Beta is beta. That's going to happen. But the thing to keep in mind is something he doesn't mention until the end of the video, which is this took them 4 hours to get through. Nice. And that was with 2 members of the press and 3 devs who've been playing this game since its inception.
Good lord.
Mind you, with some of the broken things, they had to dev console to get their way through, but nonetheless.
That's still pretty cool. I mean, that means minus the dev console, and it probably would have taken them 3.5 hours. But
well, yeah, I
still,
mean,
the fact is, what that's showing is that explorable dungeon mode means sit down with your friends and have a nice explore.
well, and that's the thing that really got to me is, and TB actually makes this comparison as well, is that it's a lot the time together, I guess, for want of a better way to put it, is like a close-knit raiding group where you're going to be with these explorable mode, just with the difficulty and the fact that you're just going to be going at it and going at it. Wow. Mel's not even here and we're still dropping innuendo.
Innuendo.
God damn it, I lost my train of thought. Oh,
Go
right.
at it.
And the show has reached a new low.
Hey, that was the frayed end of your thought process right there.
It was. But you're going to be able to get together and just play a game for a few hours. The only difference is, instead of going into the same place week after week after week after week after week,
you can go
Ascalon Catacombs, which is the one that was featured in this video, had at least three different options for you to progress the dynamic event within the explorable mode dungeon, which means you don't have to go the same way every time, and there's not necessarily going to be an optimum way to get through there. I mean, eventually people will figure out an optimum way to go through there, but using Ascalon Catacombs as an example, it's a mid-level 30 dungeon. You're not going to be farming that one for gear.
No.
Except for maybe at like level 40.
I suppose you might farm it for stuff to sell to Lodi.
Perhaps. I mean, that's definitely an option. Any other thoughts there on explorable mode? Things you're looking forward to?
Well, since you didn't tell me about this video until we were doing the pre-show,
Don't hate.
My main thing that I'm super excited for just about everything in this game, but explorable mode really does sound like one of the big ticket items I'm seriously looking forward to, because if it hadn't been for the fact that it got robotic, repetitive, what else, a 4-hour raid would have never bothered me. But you're doing the exact same thing every single time around. So this sounds like something that I wouldn't mind, once a week if we happen to all be online together, say, hey, let's do a dungeon. And just spend a few hours combing the catacombs.
Okay. So, this will be the part of the show where we move into Dave's raids. Well, A, Dave isn't here. And B,
you were going to hijack it anyway.
I'm hijacking it anyway because Redditors are sometimes the most idiotic people on the face of the fucking earth. I mean, seriously. This is literally the very first goddamn Reddit thread I've ever read in my life. I mean, I've heard horror stories, don't get me wrong. But the first thread I read is, I was led there by a post on Twitter talking about, oh, they leaked a screenshot of the Gem Trader window. I'm like, okay. Well, shortly after that, I installed my Reddit app on my tablet, and it's like, alright, let's check this out. Anything interesting? Talk about the screenshot. Let's go. And the whole fucking thread is full of these jackasses like, meh, this is going to unbalance the game, meh. I hate this system, meh.
Wow.
I signed up for an account and was like halfway through typing a response on my tablet at my desk at work instead of working. Basically tell these people, no, you're fucking stupid. Shut up. Make it stop.
Right?
No. Quit speculating. You idiots. This is probably not final. These values are probably placeholders.
No kidding.
Can I punch the person in the face that leaks this from the beginning?
Well, Jared, you keep raving for a minute. I'm going to go pull dinner out here.
Okay. I will rave some more about Reddit. In fact, here's what I'll do to rave about Reddit. We're going to find ourselves a post, since I just got ditched. Subreddits. Guild Wars 2. Pardon my singing. Some tips to make this run better. That sounds like something dumb. Oh, this is actually kind of helpful. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, boy, got a... Oh,
Okay.
are you back? Thank God. I was looking for a new post to rant about, but the one I thought might be worth ranting about was in fact someone being helpful in trying to help others make the beta client run better
Right
if they're on a
well,
lower end machine.
Let's talk about our favorite leveling in Guild Wars Original.
Let's do that, and why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
Well, okay, so to start off, I had so many options to choose from because my leveling experience, once I, got the hang of it, on almost every one of my tunes was excellent. I mean, the monk, I got into groups all the time because everybody needs a healer. My dervish, I could just rip through things, no problem. I love that class.
Side note, real quick, before you carry on. I find that to be a benefit of being a panic mesmer for hard modes.
Yeah.
Everyone needs a panic mesmer. Carry on.
Let's see here. My elementalist, stacking up 6 AoE spells in a corner where you have all of your enemies pinned and watching them just go, bleh! I got burned with fire. Yes, I've done that before, but it has a... You have to get perfect circumstances for that to work, otherwise they'll run out and it'll be a waste.
Right.
But then, of course, there's the other side of it. My ritualist was just horrible. Until I hit level 20 and got my first elite skill, I hated the ritualist. Hated it.
And
but
now it's your
my
main.
Because once I, got that first elite skill and started getting decent at the ritualist, I was like, this is a really fun class. But I'd say my favorite of all of those to level had to have been my monk. It was my second tune. His name is Jax the Enlightened. And, I learned so much about the dynamics of Guild Wars 1. Just getting into random parties and healing people through stuff. Until finally, at the peak of my Guild Wars 1 career, I got invited to just a regular run. They couldn't find another healer, and asked me if I would try to do it myself. I was like, sure, no problem. Pulled up one of the builds I'd cobbled together, and solo healed that run. They were like, wow, nobody got under 50% this whole run. You want to try an elite dungeon? And go into Fissure of Woe, and solo healed that bad boy. And at that point I was like, I feel like a freaking god. Thank you, monk.
That was back when 55 monks were still viable, isn't it?
Yeah, I never really got the hang of 55ing, because I tend to screw up the order of my buttons.
Sure.
But yeah, so If I had to pick one, I'd say the monk, because, I mean, yeah, the warrior was kind of neat, but Guild Wars 1 tanking, quote-unquote, mechanic was just horrible.
That's why my warrior's stuck at like level 15.
Damage dealers are damage dealers. There's ranged and there's melee. There isn't too much difference between. You're whacking things and trying not to get whacked.
Yeah.
But as a healer, that's where the real challenge comes in on Guild Wars. It's like, and I like the challenge. From level, I think I got out of Old Ascalon at level 12. So from 12 to 20, I mean, that's all I did. I learned how to keep people alive, and in the meantime, I wasn't so busy whacking things or avoiding getting whacked that I could pay attention to the story too.
Sure. And one thing I know, I mean, I've never gotten a monk above like level 8, but even in just that limited, healing heroes in questing in Istan and Nightfall, I noticed that it's a lot less whack-a-mole than healing in other games.
True.
I mean, yeah, there's some of that just to a degree, but
yeah. So the monk, your turn. You have
well, for me,
2 options.
3. I've got 3 level 20s.
Right.
But for me, this was actually like when I thought of this discussion topic on Tuesday, I was just like, God, now I have to pick one. It wasn't really my Mesmer, because I freely admit that I didn't have a fucking clue what I was doing. I was running from like 1 to 16. I was running an illusion swordsmanship Mesmer warrior that just focused on capping degen as fast. And at that time, I actually didn't know there was a cap on degen, so I'd be like, conjure phantasm, do some shit that does bleeding and deep wound with the sword.
I learned that the hard way with my necromancer.
Yeah. So then I quit the game, came back. You pulled my my Mesmer the rest of the way through to 20, and for that matter, the rest of the way through Prophecies, with me still not really having a fucking clue what I was doing.
It's true. I was plenty skillful for both of us.
Yeah. So I knew right away my Mesmer was out, because I was 20 for a long time on that tune before I had a fucking clue what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I mean, for me, I think my favorite was my Necromancer, because I enjoyed the hell out of running Minion Master. In fact, I still do.
It's fun.
But probably the most satisfying is my Ranger, which was my second 20. And I think it was most satisfying just simply because I was like, oh, I can level alts in this game. Thank God.
Right? Yeah, no, definitely. I really enjoyed the Necromancer too. There's so many different things you can do with it.
That's the honest truth. I mean, among the 3 classes that I leveled to 20, and like I said, I have a 15 warrior, I really think the Necromancer's the most... I mean, because you can fucking turn a Necromancer into a healer, for fuck's sake, with a Ritualist secondary. You can... That SOLS build is just like... What? DP... and I recently discovered the... what's it called? The Elementalist build with infused magic that allows you to be a prot healer.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's true, because, I mean, although infused health is kind of a risky one because you lose
half your health. That's very true.
But an Elementalist monk can do a really good job because they can use the higher cost monk spells, but they don't get Divine Favor.
Yeah, which... No, I definitely hear you there. But no, and I mean, I've got... Like I said, this weekend I'm kind of going to be working on my Mesmer and seeing if I can get one of the seeing if I can get Sunspear or Lightbringer capped, whichever one I'm higher at right now. Probably Sunspear, but I couldn't tell you.
Easily Sunspear.
I'm going to try to get one of those capped so I can get a title for my Hall of Monuments. But when I know that whenever I get bored and or frustrated with that fucking Young Heroes Eteria book, which I was busy failing on Zendaijin and thinking to myself, why in the fuck is this so much harder with 6 instead of 8? And then I thought, probably because it's 6 instead of 8, you idiot. I mean, obviously, the Minister chose a state, and most of the pre-Shiver Peak Mountains ones in Ascalon, those are all 4-person, so those are even harder, but...
Right. You basically have 2 damage dealers, a healer, and maybe a tank.
Yeah. Well, and I should clarify, I'm doing all of this solo, so I'm running it with heroes.
Well, right.
So for me, it's more like myself as kind of a support / spiker, because Ether Nightmare is overpowered as fuck, even in low Kurzik rank. And then I have 2 damage dealers, and I bounce back and forth between my UA Monk and my SOLS Necro as my healer. But yeah. No, it's just... I know that when I get frustrated on that, I'm either going to go screw around with my warrior a little bit, or PvP and my elementalist, or roll a new alt of some description.
Yeah. But I think we've beaten that one into the ground now. So.
Agreed. So yeah, discussion topic for next week we'll sort out sometime during the week. Just to let you guys know, we are going to record next Wednesday night, once all of the press info has had time to come out and we've had time to digest it, and because Jeremy and I both are going to be in northeast Nebraska, also known as Internet Hell of the world.
Yeah, no shit. Not to mention cell phone hell.
So, you can reach us in the following ways. You can check out, you can direct download the show and read our show notes on the web at ascendantsofascalon.wordpress.com. You can email the show, leave us feedback, suggest discussion topics, or tell us we smell pretty.
Especially that we smell
good. You can do that at ascendantsofascalon@gmail.com. You can get a hold of us on Twitter. The show Twitter is at @A_podcast. Individually, you can reach me at Solietu, and you can reach Jeremy
at JQSage.
You can listen live, as a couple of people did this week, for about 5 seconds at twitch.tv/wowsolietu. That was my phone hitting the floor. You can also catch a VOD either on Twitch or on YouTube, youtube.com/wowsolietu, or you can download the show through the regular means, iTunes or Stitcher.
And to anybody that actually listens to this, we apologize that we may have been a little lamer than normal, but we're 2 men short. Wait, 1 man and 1 woman.
Indeed. Nonetheless, thank you so much for listening. So tell me, Jeremy, what are you most excited, or what do you hope comes out of this beta weekend?
Oh, that's an excellent question. There's so much that I want to see. Like, I'd love for the trait lines to be completed. I'd like to see improvement in pet AI. Maybe see a little bit more of what people are doing in the structured PvP. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that I'd like to see.
As for me, I'm looking forward to more dungeon content.
Yes, that would be good too.
So yeah, that's going to wrap it up for us, folks. Again, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you guys next week.
Yay.